Good evening. My name is Candice Lamb. I am the Vice President of Local 355 in Miami, Florida. I am here with some amazing Black leaders. I want to give them a second to introduce themselves. I'll pass it to Harry East.
Good afternoon. I appreciate you including me on this very, very critically important roundtable. My name is Harry East, and I'm from Miami, Florida. I'm on the executive board of the Union of Local 355.
Now I'll pass it to Leain. Vashon.
Hello, my name is Leain Vashon. I'm the Vice President of Culinary Local 226 in Las Vegas, Nevada, and I'm happy to be here because it's very important.
Josh Wells.
Hello, everyone. I am originally from Buffalo, New York. I am a hotel worker now here in Phoenix, Arizona, and a member of Unite Here Local 11.
Okay, last but not least, Joshua Armstead.
What's up, everybody? Josh Armstead. I'm the Vice President of Unite Here Local 23 out in Washington, D.C. Rank and file organizer. Good to be here and good to keep it 100 on this roundtable.
So I want to take a second to talk about Florida. You know, I'm here stationed in Florida. I live in Florida. I have been living here my whole life. Over the last 2 years, on the Black Leadership Group, we have been talking about Florida and the importance of this election 2020 and defeating Trump. Also, in the different locals, people have been having conversations about how to defeat this guy because we understand that this guy is no good for our country and is heading us to a brick wall, pretty much. So what we have been doing on the local elections, we have been recruiting people and sending people different places, getting those people trained. Before COVID-19, people was on the grounds, knocking on doors, learning how to talk to voters and learning what their issues were. We also have a whole bunch of people that is phone banking from different places, phone banking in the key states that we feel like we have to make a huge impact on in order to defeat Trump. So with that being said, we have a whole bunch of people trained up. We still recruiting people and we still training people. This coming September, we want to train over 100 people and get people on the grounds here in Miami, but also in Orlando, so that we can like really do the groundwork that needs to happen in order to defeat Trump. Listen, we have these amazing Black leaders here, and all of them are given time to be a part of this campaign to defeat Trump, the 2020. So I would like to ask you guys some questions because I know that like you have a lot going on, but all of you guys have decided that this is extremely important to volunteer your time to defeat Trump. So the first question I want to ask, and I'll start with Harry East, what's at stake? Like, why are you volunteering your time right now to defeat Trump? What's at stake for you personally and then for your local?
Thank you, Candice. I'm looking at what's more at stake, not just for me, but for younger people that live in our community. It's about taking back the power that the government has taken from us, the lack of respect that they have for us, our cost, our style of living, our livelihood. There's so much that we need to take back from those who are in power that are unfit to lead us. They couldn't lead a dog show, let alone have any ability to lead us. Candice, as you know, our state has been an absolute catastrophe. The unemployment, our managers at our jobs, they don't care. Cannot tell me no other reason. This is why I'm participating. And also, I'm participating because I'm phone banking every day to teach people how important their vote really matters. And when I came to Miami many years ago, Miami always was I am me without the me. There was no sense of community. At least with the generation I'm working with now, there's becoming more of a sense of community, more caring about one another, that we grab each other. This is a present administration is nothing more than about hate, about divide and conquer us. There's no togetherness with them at all. And that is my role as taking back power so we can all live together and accomplish some remnants of what was once called the American dream. That is why I work with this every day. The hotel you oversee, the Fontainebleau, these people are worth $7 billion. They own the largest mall in Florida. They have so much money that it's incredible. And then they take 1,200 employees and they kick them off healthcare insurance. So who is supposed to take care of them? They don't care. They only care about their money. This is extremely sad. This is why I fight every day. This is why there's a need for all of us to be out there taking back our power so that we can all live a decent life.
We have to look at the historical fact. And I live in DC, right? I live in the belly of the beast. I'm like no more than like 2 miles from where Trump currently sits. What's at stake for me and for the people in my city and for our country is the actual right to assemble, the actual right to freedom of speech, the actual right to have a life with dignity, right? Like in 2016, disaster of epic proportions actually happened. And that was the fact that Donald Trump actually got elected. Now, we have to look back at the fact that Trump is a symptom of a larger disease in America, right? As like union members, as Black union leaders, we have to realize that there's a lot in this country that has been geared to put us down. Like you mentioned Florida, like you already above anyone else would know that you guys voted for a law that would have given, I believe it was 1.4 million people, mainly Black men and women, currently incarcerated, the right to vote, something that is most cherished, something that they tried to take away. And, you know, DeSantis and the other Republicans, they set out motions to stop that and tried to do a basically a vote tax. Like they had to pay in order to get their enfranchisement back. And this is the old historical playbook that we have been fighting against since 1865, the same crap that we've been fighting since 1619, for real, for real. We, and me especially, you know, as a Black man, as a union leader in this union, have a responsibility to make sure that the past does not repeat itself and that we do not sleep through this moment when fascism and racism once again take over to sweep into this country, no longer in a subtle form, but in the larger form that our forefathers and foremothers told us about only about less than 100 years ago. It's my duty as a Black man and also as a father to make sure that the next generation has a better opportunity than the one that came before. And I'll tell you one last thing before I end it. You know, like with Trump already in office, with like him being the type of person that he is, you know, we've seen what has happened in the streets of America. People who have assembled to protest have been shot. You know, whether it's in DC, whether it's in New York City, whether it's in Portland or Seattle. Is this the type of like strongman authoritarianism that we want? How quickly will it turn into something else? How quickly will they be emboldened? How quickly will other fascist vigilantes be emboldened? How quickly will these other employers who are looking to Trump to cut labor laws and to actually slash any support that we already are struggling to have? We need to make sure that any and all ways that we can fight back against Trump as a symptom and the larger disease of racism and the competitive greed of all these employers, that we do everything in our possible power to stop it.
Everything is at stake. If you think about it, everything is up for grabs in the country. And one of the most important things for me too is I have been a member of this union. I'm a member of the Unite Here Black Leadership Group also. And we have been fighting in the streets for all, in this union, I've been in this union well over 35 years. And I have been to jail. I have been picketing on the street. We have been on the strike line for 5 years, 6 months, and 4 days for health care, for workers' rights. for equal pay, for dignity in the workplace, to have a voice in the workplace, to be able to be represented in the workplace. Because in the workplace and good jobs and good health care and good salaries is what floats the middle class community for me and for everybody in America. Unions is what built the middle class in this country, and that is under attack. It's under attack from the Trump administration. If you take a look at the people that he has put on the NLRB, he's trying to dismantle unions all over the countries and make right-to-work states everywhere. He's going to court to make sure even public unions can't negotiate only under certain things. He's limiting the negotiating times. He's limiting what can be negotiated. Unions are under attack, and we are more than just a brick and mortar building. We're union members who go to church, who go to council meetings. Our kids go to the schools. We go to the hospitals. We are the people who live in the community. Our communities are under attack from this administration. The unions are under attack from this administration. Our civil liberties are under attack from this administration. There are all kinds of reasons why I'm involved in this. And one thing I really want everybody to understand, every election comes around and everyone says they don't think their vote's going to count. I want to counter that with all the facts that we see before us. Our votes do count. Everybody have to get out and vote. And one of the things I really want to do is make sure that that voice is heard, that your voice counts. And we need you to come with us. We need everyone.
What are you telling your family, your community, your friends? Like, what are you telling them about why 2020 election is important? Or your coworkers, right? If one of your coworkers was to walk up to you, or one of your closest friend or family member and say, well, I don't think that I'm gonna vote. What are you telling them, Joshua Armstead?
And this is one of the most important decisions in our lifetime, right? Like, we have to actually make a choice of whether or not we're going to utilize the vote that has been fought for, that people have died for, that people are continuing to be suppressed for, and that we're still fighting for, and use it, or are we going to just sit back, right? And I didn't tell people that, like, one election doesn't change everything, that we have to continue to use that vote, just as we continue to use our feet when we go into the street, just as we continue to use our power in the shops or as a larger union. The fight doesn't end until the entire system, which is guilty, has been reformed and replaced with something that is better for all peoples. We cannot stop. That is what I tell people.
One of the things I'm telling them is that John Lewis rode around in the middle of the night, just him and a friend, throughout the South, fighting for this right for us to vote. His whole life he fought for this. And if you don't exercise your right to vote, then you're throwing away everything that every civil rights person throughout the years have fought for. You have to take a dignity in that. You have to think about that.
One thing I do tell them is if they don't vote, they're complicit into what they're getting now. And you can see what they're getting now. You see you're sitting home, you're seeing you have to go through food lines, you're seeing you're going without health care. This is the harsh reality of you not exercising your vote that many people of our relatives have died and fought for. This is what you get when you don't vote, right? And you just seen the beginning. If you get 4 more years like this, it's going to be 10 times as intense, 10 times worse. You're giving people the right to disrespect you. There's no respect at all. That's why we have to take the power back from those who are in power. And we can do that now. Change can be made now, not till later, not centuries in the future. Now we can take that power and make a difference. And when we do make that change, what we must do is we must hold people who are accountable, who we put in the power to oversee our lives.
Well, I tell them to look around at everything that's happening right now. Like, are you telling me that everything that's going on, we have a literal fascist in the White House, we have a crisis, a pandemic that other countries have been able to handle and make sure that not as many people have to die from it? Most of us, with my friends and my family, we have folks that are in the hospital right now if not folks that have died because of this and how it's being handled. And you're going to tell me that you're just going to sit back and let these folks that have been basically running us into the ground be in power for another 4 years? That's what you're going to tell me. That's unacceptable. We cannot afford it. We cannot afford another 4 years of what's happening right now. We can't afford another month of it. And we have to go through it right now. We can't afford another month. We can't afford another day, much less another 4 years of it.
I believe that we have a duty to ourselves, but also the generation behind us that's watching, right? That's watching. We have a duty, to do something, and turning people out to vote, training people to even know how to talk to people about voting. All of that is so, so important. The 18-year-old who never voted before, who don't think that it's important, our neighbors, we have a responsibility to make sure that we're doing everything in our power to make sure that these people are going to vote, right? Because a lot of times when we do lose, we lose because people didn't have hope. And I really think that it's our job, our duty to give people the hope. And like Harry said before, we must take back our power. We have to take back the power that we have given away by not voting or voting for the wrong person. The power have to come back to working class people. Another thing that we are going to be faced with, that I will ask you guys this question, because it's extremely important. We are a union that represent all different types of people. And we have some people who are registered as Democrats and some who are registered as Republicans. You got some of our members who don't understand why they should vote for Biden. What are you guys telling people who are planning on voting for Trump? What would be your message to them, right? Because not everybody thinks the way that we think, and we have to understand that. But the ultimate goal is moving those people to vote like we voted, not voting against our own interests as a union or as a people that is a part of a union, fighting to better people's lives, but voting with our union. Leanne, what would you tell a worker, your co-worker, who tell you, I'm a Trump supporter, I'm voting for Trump? What message will you give to that person? What will you say to them?
I've actually had this conversation over and over as I travel, and I'm sure I'll have it again. And everything I do is I point out to the person who's a Trump supporter is what has he done for you and your family versus what the union has done for you and your family, especially if they're within our union. If they understand that what their livelihood, that their health care, and that their community is under attack. Once they if you explain the larger picture to them, because sometimes people have micro information, they don't have the total picture. And sometimes it's not their fault. They're busy lives, they're taking care of family, and they're doing things, and they hear certain things from certain people, and they only get information from one source. But I find that if you explain to them how it affects them personally, how it affects their family personally, make it the larger issue, then that brings them around to a different way of thinking. It's a larger conversation, and it's not an easy conversation, and sometimes it takes more than one time. But inevitably, everybody wants politics is close to home, and you want to take care of your family. You have to show them where that is.
I mean, look, I tell people, look, we have to be honest with ourselves. Number one is we have to actually get out there and do everything we can. And then number two is, like Leon said, like Leanne said, what has Trump done for you? Right? What has he actually done for you? Do you think the billionaire that represents capitalist interests is going to look out for you and your working class interests? What has he actually done? What does he really represent? And no, it's not always an easy conversation. Like as a whole, as a movement, we have to start having these difficult conversations with people to return to what made us as a collective of unions really powerful, which is that members had class conscious education and knew that a billionaire was not like Jesus Christ. Like, we have to make sure that we are looking out for each other and that we have our own power. And no billionaire, especially not Trump, is going to give it to you.
Well, what I will do is sometimes a lot of people I talk to that I work with are racist. They're just pure racists. They like him only because he's a white man and they're extensions of the Tea Party. So what I tell them, I said, look, I work at a Trump resort during the Jewish holiday, and I talk to all those workers how they're treated. I said, I make a comparison of what we're getting at the Diplomat, free lunch, free healthcare, and other benefits, and look at what they're doing. I said, look, guys, I make in 1 month what you guys make in 6 months, what they make in 6 months. If you want to be with Trump, go work with him and leave this hotel. I tell them, I said, look, you have no power. We have the power here at our hotel. We have free healthcare at our hotel. At the Trump, it does not exist. You dance like a puppet on a string with him.
At the end of the day, we're going to have people who think different. And our job as organizer is to organize people, right? And sometimes, even me in the past, I hear someone as like a Trump supporter, and I'm like, oh my God, like, how can you be a Trump supporter? And I refuse to even listen to what they got to say. And I think that is extremely important. I know everything that's at stake for me as a Black woman, but when I talk to some of my brown sisters and brothers who don't relate to the things that I relate to, I try to understand what's going through their mind. You know, is it one thing why they're supporting this guy? Is it two things why they're supporting this guy? And try to really hear them out, because at the end of the day, just like when we're getting people to join the union, we understand that the goal is to win the war. We're not going to win every battle, but we definitely know how to win the wars. And we need those people, you know, definitely to be with us to win this war, because a lot of times people vote and they vote for one specific issue and they don't think about all the other stuff that the person is doing. They kind of turn their head. They don't want to hear about it and they don't want to face it head on. And they're so used to people just shutting them out and don't want to talk to them because they're not voting for the candidate that we want them to vote for. And I do think that we got to take a step back and hear them out and organize them. And the goal is to get them on our side, because voting for Trump is voting against their own interests. Definitely if they're a union member. Our union, it doesn't matter what local it is, our union have done so much. We fight so hard. This union, Unite Here, we fight so hard against people like Trump, hotel bosses, for a living wage, for free family health insurance, because we know how important it is. You know, we fight for the benefits. A lot of people may think that Trump liked them or they are closer to Trump in color. But the truth is, he's just like your boss at your hotel or your casino or at your stadium or at your airport or at your university. Trump doesn't like you. We need to put someone in office that we can push like hell to put forward laws and agenda that benefit union workers, poor workers, people of color, women. There's so many issues out there that we need to move forward. And Trump is only trying to figure out how to move them backwards with this whole administrative team that he's working with in the different states. They're trying to figure out how to crush us as a union, how to crush us as a people, and how to divide us as a people.